What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the A-10 Insider Podcast here on the Field of 68 Media Network. Got a fun episode today. We were able to catch up with Archie Miller from Rhode Island, who is currently sitting at 5-0, officially, I guess, tied for first place with four other teams at the top of the Atlantic 10, one of five teams that remain undefeated in the conference, fresh off of a 91-53 win over a really good Charleston team, a complete obliteration of a team that's going to compete for a CAA regular season championship. So really impressive performance there. We were able to talk with Arch about Sebastian Thomas, about some of the pieces they got coming in, about this faster tempo that URI is playing, and whether or not this hot start is actually for real. It's an insightful conversation with Archie, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. I always enjoy talking to Arch. I think it was a really good weekend for the A-10 overall. Obviously, if you are a VCU fan, you are probably leaving Charleston a little bit frustrated. A 3-point loss to Nevada, a 3-point loss to Oklahoma State. You know, it wasn't the best weekend that you could have had, but they were able to land a win. A 3-point loss to Seton Hall and a 3-point loss to Nevada. But obviously, a win over Miami is going to help. That's another high major victory. And while the wins weren't there, the performances absolutely were. Nevada is one of the best teams in the Mountain West. I think they're actually going to have a chance to compete for that regular season championship. While Seton Hall is really tough and really physical and as good as anybody in the country defensively. And I know they've had a couple losses, but to me, that Seton Hall team is good. St. Joe's as well had a really good weekend. I know they lost to Texas on Friday night in the championship of the Legends Classic, but they beat a Texas Tech team that is like top 15 in KenPom right now, that has a chance to be really good, that has JT Toppin at the 5. And I do think that that is a win that is going to have some legs and have some longevity. I think that we're going to look up in February and think that is a really impressive win for St. Joe's. So for me, when I'm looking at the way this is playing out right now, Loyola's been awesome. St. Bonaventure is still 6-0. Dayton has a chance to make some noise. They're going to get two top 10 opponents in the next 2 days in the Maui Invitational, and just even one win there would be huge, not only for Dayton, but for the league. Rhode Island's been playing really well. Davidson is going to have a couple of chances here to be able to land big victories out in the battle for Atlantis. GW's playing well. VCU's been better. LaSalle's been better than expected. And then the three teams that we all thought were going to be competing for the regular season championship early on, VCU, St. Joe's, and St. Louis, are kind of in the bottom half of the conference right now. It's not going to stay that way, but I think that is a good sign because the other teams have kind of outplayed them. And we know how good those three teams are. We know how good those teams are going to have a chance to be once you get to March. And the fact that there is quite a bit of other success and some good basketball being played around the league, I do believe is going to be a big, big thing moving forward. I think, especially with some of these other conferences kind of going away, the Pac-12, I do think that there are going to be at-large bids available, and I would not be surprised to see the A-10 get themselves in a position they could win a couple. This is a big week, obviously, feast week. A bunch of MTEs are happening over the course of the next 7 days. So we talked about that last episode, but it'll be really important for the A-10 to be able to land a couple of victories here. But overall, I think that the last week was pretty good and an opportunity to kind of stockpile a couple more wins here. So we'll see how that all plays out. In the meantime, while we wait, let's get to that interview. Archie Miller, Rhode Island head coach, coming up now. Hello and welcome to another episode of the A-10 Insider Podcast here on the Field of 68 Media Network. We are now joined by Rhode Island head coach Archie Miller, a Field of 68 alum who treated another Field of 68 alum pretty unkindly on was that Sunday afternoon. Rhode Island beat Charleston 91-53, and I know that your rivalry with Chris Mack it goes a little bit deeper than just basketball, right? There's a little bit of AFC North, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati battles going on there. So it must feel good to have the upper hand on him now.
Well, I give our team a lot of credit. We were ready, and I think Charleston just, had a tough day on the road. There, we played that game 10 times. It's going to the wire. 9 of them yesterday. Just so happened to be us. They're going to have a great year. They have a good team, and Ante's he's a load, as you guys know. You've covered him a few
Mhm.
times, so our guys were ready to play. It was a good opponent, and I'm happy that we won. And we have to keep getting better. Obviously, Chris, he's the best of the best. I mean, he's going to do a fantastic job there, and he's done a great job wherever he's been. And I expect those guys to, at the end of the finish line, be right there for their league title and an opportunity to play in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, it feels a lot better to say he's the best of the best when you got the bragging rights over him, right?
Well, I mean, we won the game, and I feel good this morning, but I try to keep it all into perspective and have a little humility. I'm not sure how that would work if the Steelers and the Bengals were playing. I think Chris, if the Bengals would ever beat us, which they can, I'm sure he'd rub it in. But I'm not going in that mode right now.
All right, let's talk a little bit about this team that you have because 5-0 start. Sebastian Thomas has been awesome. The transfer back into the program. Jaden House, a guy that we talked quite a bit about early on in the season when we were at A-10 Media Day. David Green. What's been the best part of that about the start for you? Like what the thing that you wanted to see that has actually come to fruition for this group?
Well, I think a united group, a group that's playing for the right reasons, that's playing to win, and has to, understand their sacrifices along the way. And I think if you look at our group here early in the year, we're getting contributions across the board. Jaden hasn't started this season. He's a preseason all A-10 selection and leads us in scoring, so he's made a sacrifice. I think, Dave Green, his leadership, he's clearly a dominant personality. And I think that what he's doing right now behind the scenes and with our team speaks way more than what his productivity means. So we're getting, some sacrifice there from a couple returners. I think our new guys, obviously Javante Brown and both Sebastian right now have made a big imprint, on our team. We have a rim presence and we have great point guard play. Sebastian is playing as well as any point guard in the country in terms of not only scoring but distributing. And Javante, he's unique. He's a real presence around the basket, and we haven't had that. And on both ends of the floor, he's getting better for us, protecting the rim and taking advantage of him inside. So, but across the board, whether it's Fuchs and Estevez, Teresa, Traore, you look at Jamarcus Lawrence has been a big impact on our team, another distributor and shooter. So I think the thing is the quality of our players is good, but the unitedness and the ability level for us to be able to beat you with different guys on a different night, hopefully, is something we can continue to do.
How difficult was that to kind of develop, right? When we talk about
Really
the
hard.
transfer portal and this new era of college basketball, like that's the
Yeah.
biggest thing. Every single question that we asked these coaches on our media day tour was, "Hey, how are you getting everyone to buy in? How are you getting your team to kind of build this connectiveness and all the buzzwords that coaches love?" You've been able to do it so far.
Yeah, I think, for the first time since I've been here, we've finally had some carryover in terms of retention. First 2 years has been completely blank slated, and you're starting from scratch, everything you do. And obviously when you hit the skids a few times, the lack of familiarity, the lack of trust that's just not there, sometimes can break you down. But we have a core group back, that has went through it with us, went through a first real off season, embraced new guys returning for the right reasons because they want to win. And then the new guys who come in, man, I can't tell you the infusion of just good people, man, good guys. They're here working, and we were able to, set ourselves up in this off season. We did have a foreign trip, and regardless of the basketball component of the trip, just having the ability to spend time together has paid dividends. I think we have a group that likes each other. We have a group that works hard right now in terms of competing against each other. And I think that as we've started this season off, I enjoy watching our guys cheer for one another. They care about each other. It's a little bit different feel, but retention and bringing in some pieces I think that fit, has been good so far.
I think the most interesting dynamic for you guys is that the big name that you brought in is a bounce back transfer, right? Sebastian Thomas was with you in,
Yep.
was it 22, 23,
Yep.
transfers to Albany, has a huge year at Albany, and then comes back, and now he's averaging 16 and a half points, almost 9 assists, 4 rebounds, 2.8 steals. Where have
Yeah.
you seen the biggest development in his game, and why has he been able to take this leap as a player?
I mean, Rob, look at it this way. Sometimes players got to go out there and earn it. And he's a self-made guy right now. I mean, he bet on himself. He went to Albany. They did a fantastic job in terms of allowing him to run the show. And as he gained confidence throughout his season last year with great freedom and the way that he played, he developed a real confidence and edge about him that like little guards that fast, speedy little guards, they need to have that edge. They need to have that cockiness, that swagger, the ability level to know that they're the best player on the floor. And
Mhm.
he went from a guy early in his career with a coaching change and maybe some uncertainty to now he's like, there isn't any questions about who is running the show, who makes us go. At the end of the day, the head coach, his life's a lot easier out there in terms of like, I'm going to let him be himself at times because I trust him. But make no mistake about it, it hasn't been anything that I've done or we've done. This has been a guy that went on a mission to prove that he is a good player. He earned that right. And when this sort of opportunity came back around, it's almost like he stepped up to the plate and his chip's even bigger. And I think that like him playing with that chip on the shoulder and how he approaches things on a daily basis and commands respect is completely 180 degrees than when he was 2 years ago when he was a young guy. And I wish I could take credit for that development, but I give him all the credit. I give his a year of experience at Albany and what they did there. But he's a much different player right now than he was a couple years ago.
So the program that he's coming back to, the way that you guys are playing is different than what you were probably the year that he left. I think it's different, that to fair to say you guys are playing a little bit more up tempo,
Oh
more
yeah.
aggressive, more in transition than you probably ever have in your career as a head coach. Is that a result of you get a guy like Sebastian back and he can thrive in this system? Is that just what basketball is in 2025? Or is this just like, hey, you know what? We got all these guys that can score, this athleticism, this talent.
Yeah.
Let's get them as many chances to get buckets as we can.
I mean, personnel always dictates what you can do. And throughout our career, when we've had great point guard play in my time as a head coach, Kevin Dillard, Scoochie Smith, Sebastian's right up there in lines with the best guys I've had in terms of being able to motor with the ball.
Mhm.
And, we're going to let him push it. But we also have some guys out there who all are good players. I don't think we put a guy out there that can't command attention, get a basket, create problems. So, yeah, we're playing with pace. We're playing with great tempo. I think our personnel is really fit to play that way. Really where we're going to make our name or whether we're going to break through or whether we're going to have monumental wins, it's really not going to come down to the offense. Our defensive, structure, our ability level to keep getting better on that end is where we're focused. And I thought as much as anything, our attention on that end of the floor this offseason has helped us here early as well. We're not where we need to be, but I do think that we can be good on both sides of the ball. But to your first question, we're playing extremely fast right now, and I'm happy about that.
So Dayton's looked really good so far. They got the Maui Invitational coming up. We're
Yep.
recording this on a Monday afternoon. That will be tonight. Loyola's sitting here at 6-0. You guys are undefeated. The Bonnies have looked really good. St. Joe's had a great win over a really good Texas Tech team on, I think that was on Friday.
Yeah.
The top of the A-10 is as good as it's been in a while. What has to happen with your team to be able to get to the point where we look up in February and you guys are right there with whoever it is competing for a regular season championship?
Starts at home court. It starts with the Ryan Center here on our campus, which is a great place. We have great fans. But you can't survive conference play unless you hold serve at home. Starts there. And we've got to make our home court of a sense of pride. We have to play big games here at home this year in league play and be able to win. I think winning at home is the key to chasing anything that you want in conference play because the road's difficult. Our league is 15 squads, and we don't have freshmen in our league anymore. The days of, an upper echelon of the Atlantic 10 just having better high school players getting older versus schools that don't have maybe the resources to recruit those guys and not being as good are over. You have 8-9 transfers at Duquesne last year. You see what they did. You have a complete total flipping roster at St. Louis in 1 year and a coaching change. They can go from the bottom to the top. You have the programs that obviously are really invested, continuing to stay old and get old. But like LaSalle, I've watched LaSalle twice on film. They got a Hall of Fame coach. They have transfers in there from Ryder and both Temple that are making a big difference. And I'm telling you, like, you're playing old guys. There's very few freshmen in our league. It's very difficult to win. And I think when it's all said and done for us to be where you want, if you just keep it simple, we got to do a good job here when we play in Kingston. And the Ryan Center's got to be a tough out for everybody that comes in here moving forward. And hopefully we're continuing to build confidence here at home here early in November because we're going to need it, through the course of January, February.
So I think that the win over Charleston probably opened a lot of people's eyes. If Rhode Island beating Fairfield, beating Holy Cross, those are games that Rhode Island probably should be winning, right? But a 38-point win over a Charleston team that has the talent that they have, that is as well coached as they are, I think that's something that's going to make a lot of people, not just in the Atlantic 10, but nationally, kind of turn their head and say, oh, okay, maybe there's something happening here at URI. You got this event down in Jacksonville coming up this week. Then you get Yale at home. Then you get Providence at home. What do you want to see from this? Like, how do we know that this is real? Like, and we can really take this, you know what I mean? Like,
no, there's no question about it. I mean, I think at the end of the day, we've been a fluttering, program here as I've gotten here. Our first year is very difficult with what we inherited and how we had to manage it. And then year 2 is a disappointment, make no mistake about it. We didn't play the right way a year ago to, command momentum or excitement. Like these guys are on the move. And I think people were waiting to see if this is kind of like you said, like real. Yesterday was a good litmus test, though. I think we played against a really good team. You guys have seen them in through November and know that they're going to win a lot of games. They have good players. They got a great coach. It wasn't maybe their day yesterday, but we took care of business and we won the game. And I think much as anything, hopefully people are noticing that, like, game in and game out, we're producing. We have a lot of guys playing well. And at the end of the day, slowly but surely, you're taking care of business. And as you continue to keep going now, the pressure is on to keep getting better. And I think as long as we continue to get better and we continue to obviously strive to kind of hang in there on a day-to-day basis, if we keep getting better, we're going to keep giving ourselves opportunities for good, wins. We're going to neutral, we'll go down to Florida. And, at the end of the day, we'll see how that goes. When we come back, in my opinion, we have 2 NCAA tournament type teams with Yale and Prov at home. And as we finish our non-conference up, I hope we're going into conference play with momentum and confidence in terms of, like, we've really improved from November, December, and that's all you can control. But I like where we're at. I will also tell you this, when you have point guard play, a lot of good things can happen. And we have a guy right now, I'm sure that as we continue down the line, people will continue to take notice. But Sebastian's playing as well as any point guard in the country. His statistics speak volume. We also have a lot of other guys, I think, that can produce that, allow him to, kind of wiggle around out there and do some things. But we have a number of guys that can beat you, but we are getting really good point guard play. And I think at the end of the day, when you combine that with depth, I think we can be pretty good as we keep going.
Yeah, there are 5 point guards in college basketball right now that are averaging better than 8 assists per game. One of them is Ryan Nembhard at Gonzaga. One of them is Braden Smith at Purdue, 2 All-Americans. Donovan Dent in New Mexico, and Sebastian Thomas. Those are 4 of the 5 that are doing. That's the pretty impressive company to be
No
included
question.
in.
Yeah.
Arch, I appreciate you being here, man. Best of luck to you guys the rest of the season. Safe travels down to Jacksonville. Enjoy the warm weather. It is not warm here in New Jersey right now. And we'll look forward to, I need you guys to make a run here so we can get you back on at some point when Goodman's on here as well.
Yeah, I'm actually happy that you and I get a chance to spend the holiday together here without him. I would like to see him down the line here. That means we're doing well, which is obviously the goal of it. But keep up the good work, man. You get the best coverage out there in our game, and I root for you guys as much as anything. But the coverage that you guys put in our league, which is deserving, we have a great league, and I think we have a great league race in the A-10 coming up this year, where we're going to have between 3 and 5 teams really marching towards NCAA tournament, livelihood, so to speak. And I wish everybody in our league a good feast week as well, as they keep going, because it's important. But keep up the good work, buddy. Have a good holiday, and I hope to see you here